Hello and welcome to Lore of the Storm, the series that reveals the lore hidden behind your favourite Heroes of the Storm champions. The final hero of the Eternal Conflict, Kharazim, was recently released, and today we'll be looking at the lore surrounding this holy combatant. Just ignore the fact that Rexar's recently been released. With Kharazim's inclusion, almost all playable classes in Diablo 3 have been added to Heroes of the Storm. Vala the Demon Hunter, Sonya the Barbarian, Nazeebo the Witch Doctor, Johanna the Crusader, and Kharazim the Monk. The only class we're still waiting to be added is the Wizard. Since they are the protagonists of Diablo 3, a majority of their story arc will be the same, defeating Diablo in the core game and the Angel of Death Malthael in the expansion Reaper of Souls. While I could recount the events of Diablo 3, there's already a video that does that for you released by Curse Entertainment, placing Kharazim in the lead role. I look to cover lore that is quintessentially monk, talking about the kingdom to which they belong and a couple of key monks in Diablo lore. The Diablo 3 classes added to heroes are Nephalem. From the dawn of creation, angels and demons have fought over an artifact of great power called the World Stone in a war known as the Eternal Conflict. After millennia of confrontation, the angel Inarius and the demoness Lilith had had enough. The two immortals stole away the World Stone, taking their followers with them, and created the world of Sanctuary, a world hidden away from the other angels and demons, free of conflict. As time passed, Inarius and Lilith bred with each other, and other angels and demons followed suit. The offspring they bore became known as Nephalem. These beings of both angel and demon blood would later become a source of fear for their parents. Not only did the Nephilim's power dwarf their own, but they feared their power would attract the attention of the high heavens and the burning hells, the realms from which they had fled. Upon the discovery of the Nephilim, these two realms would view them as an affront to nature, and punish those that had committed this blasphemy. This fear sparked a heated debate amongst the angels and demons of Sanctuary. Did they let their children live, or eradicate them before their crime could be discovered? In an attempt to calm the situation, Inarius called for a time of contemplation, and after this, he had deemed the Nephilim an aberration that must be destroyed. This conclusion drove Lilith into a mad rage. Distressed by the idea of the genocide of her children, she morphed into a terrifying beast and slaughtered the angels and demons before they could the Nephilim. With only Inarius and Lilith left, the angel went to strike down his lover, but found he could not, and instead banished her from Sanctuary. Left alone, Inarius attuned the World Stone so that his children's power would diminish over time, and took a form that allowed him to blend in. As new generations of Nephilim were born, they grew weaker and weaker, and eventually became mankind as we know it now. Despite the weakening of mankind, Sanctuary would still later be discovered by the high heavens and the burning hells. The prime evils of hell saw mankind's potential to be used as a weapon. During the events of Diablo 2's expansion, Lord of Destruction, the angel Tyrael was forced to destroy the World Stone that had been corrupted by the prime evil Baal. With the World Stone no longer suppressing their power, the next generation of mankind gave birth to new Nephilim, rivaling the powers of their ancestors. Kharazim is one of these new Nephilim. The monks are the holy warriors of the city of Igarod. The city is located in the northern foothills of the Tomoan Mountains, on the edge of the Sharval Wilds. This city's influence used to extend far beyond this region, until the arrival of Rakkis and his army. He was a man that wished to spread the Zakarum faith across the face of Sanctuary by any means necessary. The Zakarum faith believes that all humans are a powerful vessel for a holy force known as the Light, and should strive to discover their Zakara, their inner light, to live fulfilled lives. When Rakkis set out on his mission, the Zakarum faith had only recently come to great prominence in his own region, Kyrgyzstan. Nearly 3 centuries ago, the general populace were in the throes of unrest. They were blighted by plague and famine, and often rioted in an effort to topple the corrupt ruling class. In this climate of dismay and hopelessness, the Zakarum faith which up until this point was small, struck a chord. It allowed the civilians to hope again. As the church's influence increased, the ruling class sought to eradicate this upcoming power. All their violent acts succeeded in doing was strengthening the people's belief. This animosity between church and state continued until the Emperor Tassara took the throne. In a simple political move, Tassara converted to the Zakaran faith, an act that almost overnight won him the admiration of the masses of Kyrgyzstan. However, this angered the ruling class, who hired mercenary armies to strip Tassara of his crown. Such was the amount of money invested that the mercenary army was greater than that of Kyrgyzstan's own. This would not matter, as Tassara's armies were led by Rakkis. The great commander and devout follower of the Zakaran faith led successful campaigns, never suffering a defeat and routing the rebels. Rakkis became a legend among his people. His faith in the light had seen him triumph against seemingly impossible odds. His popularity was so great that Tassara now saw his friend as a new threat to his rule. Tassara came up with yet another elegant solution to his problem. To the west of his region lay undiscovered lands untouched by the holy light. Tassara proposed that it was his kingdom's duty to spread the tenets of the Zakaran faith across Sanctuary, and that there was no better man for the job than the inspirational Rakkis. Whether Rakkis suspected Tassara's intent is unknown, but he readily accepted this duty and was gifted nearly a third of the standing army of Kyrgyzstan to achieve his goals. Whether Rakkis succeeded or failed, Tassara won. With success, his influence extended, and with failure, Rakkis would take the blame, losing his favour with the people. Tassara did not shortchange Rakkis' force, and it contained many paladins among its ranks, warriors that were proficient at wielding the holy light as a weapon. Rakkis' campaign went smoothly until reaching the deserts of Aranok. Large portions of this territory were under the control of Igarod. Igarod's people and the monks have a very different religious ideal. Igarod follow the Suptev faith, a polytheistic religion with 1,001 gods, encompassing almost every kind of physical object and concept in existence. We don't know the full roster of these gods, but we do know a few, and it would appear to encompass the ruling class of the high heavens and a little of the burning hells, or at least the religion's concepts of them. Tyrael is the god of justice, Ariel, goddess of hope, Imperius, god of valour, Ithariel, god of fate, Diablo, god of terror, Ina, goddess of the sky, Ymil, god of the rivers, Yitar, god of fire, and Zaim, god of the mountains. Due to their vastly different faith, Igarod opposed Rakkis in the desert. This did not start well for Igarod. Rakkis' forces were masters of warfare in open environments, so the first encounters were rather one-sided. However, when Rakkis' forces attempted to venture over the Tomoe Mountains, they were met with stronger resistance, the environment favouring Igarod's form of warfare. Despite their defeats in the desert, Igarod's forces did not lose any of their zeal, continually harassing Rakkis' forces. They even called upon the might of their holiest warriors, the monks. The holy warriors of both forces met in combat, monks versus paladins. These battles must have been fierce and spectacular. The monks played to their strength, ambushing and harassing. Within their own domain, Igarod were better able to dictate the flow of battle, luring Rakkis' forces further to the north in their journey, towards the mountain's forests and craggy terrain. They even forced Rakkis to construct Eastgate Keep to better deal with their attacks. While suffering losses in the mountains, Rakkis' forces were able to continue west. Igarod did not fall to their influence, but the city's reach was significantly reduced, and to this day does not branch much further than their own secluded walls. So now we have an idea of Igarod's and a little of Kyrgyzstan's history, let's take a look at the monks themselves. The leaders of the city and of the Suptev faith are the Patriarchs. The word of these 9 individuals is law, and their decrees are carried out by the monks. The Suptev religion is founded upon the balance between 2 forces, order and chaos. Their gods and the patriarchs represent this. 4 of their order pledged themselves to chaos, another 4 to order, and 1 of the patriarchs remains neutral. It is said that the patriarchs speak for the 1001 gods, so their word is never questioned by the citizens of the nation. According to ancient Suptev scrolls, the patriarchs were elected by the 1001 gods, and the patriarchs that remain in power are the reincarnations of those originally selected. In the latest expansion, Reaper of Souls, Igarod was attacked by the forces of Malthael. In this fight, 3 of the patriarchs lost their lives, and the spirit of Anasim aided Kharazim with advice to defeat Malthael. A monk's rigorous training takes place in the cloisters of the patriarchs in the Floating Sky Monastery. The harsh mental and physical training all goes towards a monk's unparalleled focus in combat. Initiate monks are welcomed into the fold as children, taken from the villages bordering the mountains of the Gorgora forest. Monks' heads are shaved to represent their piety. From the start, training is difficult. Initiates are expected to be without food, drink and sleep for months at a time, all to increase their focus. Those that endure this first step of training emerge unwavered by the distractions of the world. Monks are taught that their bodies are weapons, and while they do use conventional weaponry, without it they can be just as formidable. Acolytes of the Order master weapons of 3 different planes, the mental, the physical and the spiritual, which they wield through sheer force of will. The spirit is perhaps the most devastating of the 3, and the monks use their inner spirit to power their strongest attacks. Once they have mastered these, they are able to wield weaponry as an extension to their already mastered weapon, themselves. Monks train in 6 different techniques. We know this due to the Diablo 3 passive skill, Combination Strike. While not all master the techniques, some do, and the monk master Wugun found a way of combining all 6 into a style all his own. A monk's training is shrouded in mystery, even from their own initiates. The final challenge for monk initiates used to master their serpent form is called the Pit of 12 Vipers. A well-kept secret from the initiates is that there is in fact a 13th pit. What does this training entail? Well, you'd have to be a monk to know. Monks are also trained to have a basic understanding of all forms of warfare as well. Not all monks master their training. Initiates that do not show the aptitude are asked to leave the monastery. However, they have one final chance to be accepted. A physical task is set before them, which allows the initiate to demonstrate a talent for training that was not previously seen. If they are successful, they are put into isolation to endure training that may last several decades. As to what these challenges are, we do not know, as those that partake in them are sworn to secrecy, and most that fail usually die, so are in no position to give away the secrets of the monastery. Monks in training are unable to leave the monastery. Only when fully trained are they able to venture out, an extension of the will of the patriarchs. Each step they take and breath they draw is in the service of the 1001 gods. The symbols upon the heads of monks that journey display that they are pillars among their society. Should a monk die in their god's service, a tattoo on the monk's back will tell the gods of his or her story. Not all trained monks leave the monastery. Some remain wrapped in contemplation, waiting for a sign from the gods of where to direct their might. Even when fully trained, monks undergo a daily ritual to cleanse their spirit of the corruption that looks to eat away at every human soul. A monk is expected to feel no selfish emotions, pride, shame or fear. Their duty is to their gods. Each monk will seek to hold a certain god as their patron. As the order values strength, it is common to seek the patronage of gods that reflect this, Yitar and Zaim for example. A monk that sought an uncommon patron was Zota, who chose Ymil, god of the rivers. Ymil represents emotion, intuition and life-giving properties. Zota endured the training of one of the order's most unforgiving masters, Akaev the Unyielding, many before being broken by his training. With Ymil as his patron, Zota was able to endure, proving that a god of overt strength is not always needed to endure the harshest of trials. All trained monks possess the ability to heal, and prefer to dart in and out of combat, wearing their enemies down with short, sharp, concentrated flurries of attacks. Kharazim's moveset represents this nicely in Heroes. A heal that buffs speed, the ability to dash amongst his foes and allies alike, and flurries of attacks in 7-sided strike and deadly reach. Not only can monks hit with ferocity, but they can imbue their attacks with elements, the element giving extra power, exploding their enemies from within, and monks can even create an elemental copy of themselves to aid in combat. Since many monks isolate themselves within the Igarod region, it is a rare sight to see them in the service of their gods beyond their home. One such monk was Mikolov. While training, Mikolov stumbled across a disturbing prophecy, one that stated that the Kharazim would play a vital role in an impending battle between the living and the dead. The Kharazim had been a group of mages that had sealed away Sanctuary's greatest threat, the prime evils, into soul stones. Only one descendant remained of these powerful mages, Deckard Cain. Mikolov sought out Cain as he believed he would be the key to preventing this prophecy from coming to pass. Cain later wrote that it was Mikolov that did this far more than himself. On their journey, Cain, Mikolov and Cain's adopted niece Leah met a group known as the First Ones. This group of scholars was led by Gareth Rao and sought to emulate the Kharazim. However, Rao became corrupted by the lesser evil Belial, the Lord of Lies, and what started as a noble endeavour became one of evil. Cain and his companions met with those not yet corrupted, Cain correcting some of their misinterpretations of the Herodric techniques. Rao took the city of Gaekul and sought to raise an undead army from beneath the city, as the bodies of many powerful sorcerers lay beneath. Rao kidnapped Leah, as the youth possessed great power, stealing her away and sending demons and undead to destroy the uncorrupted First Ones. Mikolov's martial prowess shone through, being able to protect Cain and aid him and the First Ones in rescuing Leah, but Rao was too powerful. Luckily for the heroes, whatever humanity still resided in Rao was able to creep to the surface. In this moment of clarity, seeing he had been corrupted, Rao took his own life, saving the city from himself. It was from the remnants of the First Ones that a new Herodric order would be born. Mikolov and Kharazim are not the only individual monks to go on and perform extraordinary feats. Tezo Kryn was once approached by a warrior and asked to settle his troubled mind. The monk said, "Bring me your mind, and I will settle it." With that single perfectly chosen sentence, the warrior immediately experienced enlightenment. Juliana is an incredible individual, disgraced in the eyes of her order. She was the first monk to venture out from the monastery. During her travels, her beliefs forever changed when she stumbled across demons in the Aranok desert. Using her training, she vanquished them, but was shaken by the encounter. She had never imagined that such hideous creatures could exist. Juliana believed that these beasts were agents of the gods of chaos, and was so shaken by the ordeal that she resolved to defeat the gods of chaos. Juliana began to adapt the forms of the Verdani into a fighting style used by many monks today. The tenets of the Verdani are texts that pertain to the Saptev faith. Juliana's work drew the wrath of the Patriarchs, as a monk's goal is to achieve balance between the forces of order and chaos. Juliana angered them further when she posed the theory that the gods may be concepts for the monks to learn from rather than actual beings. For her insubordination, Juliana was exiled, condemned to wander Sanctuary and seek repentance. She did not see this as a punishment, for she believed monks should inspire, not lock themselves away, and swore to eradicate the agents of chaos. Shortly after being banished, Juliana vanished. Her belt, Binding of the Lost, was the only thing ever found. So, there you have it, the lore behind the ways of the monks, and a little on a few standout individuals from the order. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe. Sharing this video around helps others learn about the rich lore behind the heroes of the storm. If you've liked the art, all the artists I could find are in the description below. With the Battle of Eternity now coming to an end, I'm going to open up the possibilities for this series, not restricting myself to the most recent hero releases. Since we've been looking at Diablo lore for a while, how about a bit of StarCraft stuff? I've got 3 heroes for you to choose from: Abathur, Nova, and Zeratul. Zerg versus Terran versus Protoss. Vote using the poll in the description and let me know in the comments any other heroes you'd like to see covered later down the line. Child of Six Gamers has recently started streaming, so have a look at our Twitch channel. I'll pop on every now and then as I don't have the correct program to stream, but would love to see you guys there, so give us a follow. Till next time, I hope to one day battle you in the Nexus.